detailer does it again. Look at the emotion.
City where the stars come out, and two big ones are here in Manhattan as super middleweight kingpin Canelo Alvarez and fast-rising 168-pound contender Edgar Berlanga kick off the press tour for this September's showdown. I'm Chris Mannix, joined by former middleweight title challenger Gabe Rosado. And Gabe, I know that you love a good Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry. They almost always lend themselves to terrific fights. We've got another one on September 14th.
Yeah, man, this is big. You know, Puerto Rico and Mexico hasn't had a big fight in a while, man, so this is it.
What makes these kind of rivalries so good? Like, what is it about the bad blood between these two countries that drives this?
Man, I think it's the pride. You know, Mexico is a pride country as Puerto Rico. And the thing is that it's just the fans really know the sport. So it's a beef, but it's a respect. Mm-hmm. You know, at the end of the day, it's war in the ring, but outside of the ring, there's respect.
I don't think there's going to be any respect in the ring between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga on September 14th. Canelo coming off that terrific win over Jaime Munguia. You get Edgar Berlanga coming off the best win of his career, a knockout win over Padraig McGrory, which got him back on his knockout path. Look, Berlanga coming into this fight is a heavy underdog. There's not a lot of people that are giving Berlanga a chance to be the man to dethrone Canelo Alvarez. What do you think his path to victory is here?
Well, that's the thing. The fact that he's such an underdog, that gives him the advantage because it's almost like he has nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. So he can go into this fight and pretty much he has to be aggressive. You know, don't change anything up. Go there for the knockout. Be right there in Canelo's chest. Like I said, you have nothing to lose. So that's what makes it dangerous for Canelo.
Is there a blueprint at all to facing Canelo? We saw Munguia have spurts of success against him the last time out. We've seen other fighters, Gennady Golovkin, in the past have some success. Is there a way that you can see Berlanga fighting, you know, on the inside, but other ways to win this fight?
Here's the thing. As far as the experience factor, Canelo has him by a lot. So it really comes down to mentally coming into the fight and being aggressive. You know, you're not going to be Canelo off of the counters. You're not going to be Canelo off of playing chess with him. You kind of got to be in his chest, disrespect him. He's a legend, but don't give him that respect. You got to be right in his chest and kind of take Canelo off from surprise, right? Where Canelo's like, oh, this kid's banging with me, and kind of just, you know, surprise him, and that you could throw him off his rhythm.
Yeah, look, I think no question about it. Both these guys are going to come out throwing punches early and often. I don't think it's going to be a fight that's going to wind up in the judge's hand at the end. We also have a terrific co-main event on this fight. You've got Erislandy Lara defending his middleweight title against Danny Garcia. Now, Danny Garcia has been off for a long time. He only had one fight at junior middleweight. Now he's moving up to face Lara at middleweight. Lara, of course, a former junior middleweight champion himself. What do you think of this fight? Do you like Danny Garcia's chances to pull off the win?
I do, man. You know, I think at this age, the fact that he's taking time off, he lives a clean lifestyle, so it helps you rejuvenate your body and get back to it. He's coming off a really good win against Benavidez. He looked really good. He boxed well. And, you know, he was having some mental battles. And now the fact that he just took time to recover physically and mentally, I think is going to be we're going to see a better Danny Garcia.
So you think there are advantages to a long layoff? Because we just saw this past week, I thought Andy Ruiz felt the negative effects of a long layoff in his fight against Jarrell Miller. I mean, inactivity can often be the enemy of a fighter.
No, that's true, but I think when you're an older fighter, it benefits you because you have the experience. I think for a younger fighter, when he doesn't have when he's inactive, it can hurt a younger fighter. But for an older fighter, you have the experience. You know what you got to do to catch that rhythm back in sparring, back in training. So for Danny, he's a veteran. He knows exactly what he has to do to get back into that rhythm.
All right, so that's the co-main event. And of course, the main event, Canelo Alvarez against Edgar Berlanga. 3 of the major titles on the line. Canelo Alvarez opting to vacate one of his belts. So it will be for the unified championship at 168 pounds. Canelo, look, I know everybody wants to see him in against David Benavidez. I do as well. But he has chosen the path of activity. He's not going to let really anything slow his career down.
No, and, I think the Benavidez fight will eventually happen, if he gets past Berlanga, which, he's the A side, but I just think it's a matter of him staying in rhythm and preparing himself for that fight, because that's a mega fight. That's the fight everyone wants to see. This is a perfect matchup where if he comes victorious, that could be the next fight.
You talk about mega fights, and a mega fight that could be in the offing if Canelo Alvarez gets past Edgar Berlanga. Is a showdown with the man we just saw a couple of days ago, Terrence Crawford, who moves up to 154 and beats Israel Madrimov. You just saw Crawford make his debut at junior middleweight. What do you think of Crawford as a super middleweight going up against Canelo?
Man, that's a tough task because, Madrimov gave him some great looks. He kept landing that right hand over and over. And then you think to yourself, what happens when Canelo lands that right hand? But, Crawford is a special fighter. And the thing about Crawford is he's the fighter that he has that ability to make adjustments. And that's what wins fights, is the ability to make adjustments. But it's a dangerous fight. I would love to see the fight, but it's dangerous for Crawford.
Is there any chance for Canelo that this fight against Berlanga could be a type of trap fight? Look, we're going to be, when Canelo winds up talking to reporters in just a few minutes' time, there's going to be a lot of questions about Bud Crawford, what he thought of Crawford's performance, would he be willing to face him if this fight goes the way he hopes it to go. But he's still got to get through Berlanga, who we both agree is going to come out throwing punches.
No, for sure. It could be a trap fight. I think, Canelo at this point in his career, he knows what he has to do. He means business. He's focused. And I don't think he's going to look past Berlanga, but it's dangerous if he does because Berlanga, like I said, has nothing to lose. He's young, he's hungry, he's determined, so it's dangerous when you fight a guy like that because it's the biggest fight in the world for Berlanga. And for Canelo, this is just another day at the office.
When you were at junior middleweight, you were in line to face Canelo Alvarez. He's a different fighter since those days. What are the differences? How does Canelo get wins now versus how he used to?
Well, Canelo now he knows how to dictate the pace. So in the fight with Munguia, he kind of controlled the pace of that fight without really having to throw a big volume of punches. He kind of just threw counters. He allowed Munguia to dive in, make mistakes, and he made him pay. And he just fought a veteran, crafty fight, and that's a dangerous Canelo. And he went back to the head movement. Yeah,
it's going to be a great fight. It was a great fight for Munguia. Let's go up on the stage now, get this started. Go to Brian Custer.
Good afternoon, New York City. What's up? I'm Brian Custer. This is the New York press conference for Canelo versus Berlanga. Here to tell you on Saturday, September 14th, Canelo Promotions is going to celebrate a Mexican Independence Day weekend, and you're going to see a stacked PBC pay-per-view event on Prime Video, and it's going to feature a classic Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry and battle in the main event. And it's going to feature two of the most exciting and biggest punchers in the super middleweight division. This fight will take place at T-Mobile Arena in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, which, of course, as you know, has hosted some of the biggest combat sporting events over the recent years. And you're going to see the Mexican superstar, the unified super middleweight champion of the world, Canelo Alvarez, defend his titles against the unbeaten Edgar Berlanga on PBC pay-per-view on Prime Video. The interesting thing about this is that you'll also see a couple of other fights on Prime Video as well that the PBC is bringing you. And we got a treat for you. The main event fighter is here in those fights that you'll see on September 14th. Young man comes in at 21-1, 8 knockouts. He's the former unified super bantamweight champion of the world. Trains in that fighting city of Philadelphia. Trained by Derek Bozy Edwards. He's going to face Carlos Castro in a 10-round featherweight bout in that main event. In fact, making his debut at featherweight. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring to the stage, you know him as Cool Boy, Stephen Fulton Jr. Stephen Fulton Jr., he's back, and he'll be taking on Carlos Castro, 10-round featherweight bout in that main event that you'll see on Prime Video, PBC here on Prime. We get back to the pay-per-view portion of the evening, the co-main event, a world title fight. And coming to the stage now is a man you'll see challenging for that world title. No stranger to being a world champion because he has done it in a couple of weight divisions. 37-3 is his record. 21 knockouts. He's the former unified super lightweight champion, former WBC welterweight champion of the world, looking to become a 3-division world champion, trained by his father, Angel Garcia, and just like Cool Boy here, proudly repping that great city of Philadelphia. He's coming back. Danny Swift Garcia. Danny's going to be challenging the champion. You know him as the American Dream. 33-3. He's got 18 knockouts. Comes from that great Cuban school of boxing. Was one of the greatest amateurs of all time. 2-division world champion. Currently boxing's oldest world champion right now. Trained by Ismael Salas. He is the reigning WBA middleweight champion of the world, Erislandy Lara. The WBA middleweight champion, Erislandy Lara, Danny Garcia. They will fight for the title. It will be the co-main that you see on that pay-per-view event on September 14th. Joining everybody here on the stage, Angel Garcia, of course, the trainer of Danny Garcia. I want to remind you, tickets for this event are now on sale, and you can get your tickets through AXS.com. I will repeat that, AXS.com. In addition to the pay-per-view being available to purchase on Prime Video, and really regardless of your Prime membership, you can also purchase the pay-per-view through DAZN.com. You can also purchase it at PPV.com as well. Those are just some of the options, as well as you can access it through the telecast through your traditional cable and satellite providers. The event is being promoted by Canelo Promotions and TGB Promotions in association with Matchroom Boxing. Let me bring to the podium here man who's the president of TGB Promotions, Mr. Tom Brown.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I'm just so happy that we finally got this fight over the goal line and we found a great card for it to go on. Erislandy Lara is coming off a big second-round knockout in his last fight just in March over his WBA mandatory challenger, Michael Zarafa. He's a former 154-pound world champion. The kid just makes for great fights. His fight with Jared Hurd was a Boxing Writers Association and the ESPN Fight of the Year. Then he came right back and had one of the best fights in 2019 with Brian Castellano. And he just is always in great fights. And it's great to have Danny back as the opponent, challenging once again for a world title. As Brian said, he's a former two-division world champion and one of the best 140 pounders of all time. He's an old-school, throwback-type fighter who is always willing to fight the best in the business. So I'm really looking forward to this fight and to have Fulton on our Prime Video show. It's just really turning into a great card, and I'm real happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Let me bring to the podium now. Young man here to my right, to your left. Once again, he's the former unified super bantamweight champion of the world. Comes in at 21-1, 8 knockouts. You know him as Cool Boy, Stephen Fulton Jr.
How y'all doing? Guess it's good to be back. It's a long time. I really don't have much to say. Just thank you for being here. Appreciate y'all.
Cool Boy, man, a few words. Got a couple questions for you anyway, though. I know it's been over a year since we've seen you in the ring. Tell us why now, and tell us why Carlos Castro.
I'm just ready to be back. I think it's now because it was the right moment for everything that was going on. So, but that's it.
Listen, we already know what you could do at 122. Record speaks for itself. Former unified champion, making your debut at 126. Tell us why 126, and what do you see as the future for you in that division?
More titles. I feel like I wanted to go to 130, but I'll take a pit stop here first, get my feet wet a little bit, and hopefully gain another world title so I can become two-division world champ, move up, do the same thing. So that's my goal for now.
And you said become a world champion. You were unified at 122. Do you see yourself being unified at 126?
I could take it as far as I want to take it. It's just up to me.
This is more of a serious Stephen Fulton that we've seen in the past. Tell us why.
I've been through some things.
And will that play out in the ring when we see that in September?
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. Stephen Fulton, he's back. Let me bring to the podium now. Guy comes in with a record at 37-3, 21 knockouts, former unified super lightweight champion, former WBC welterweight champion, hails from the fighting city of Philadelphia, and again looking to become a 3-division world champion. He is Danny Swift Garcia.
You know, first of all, I want to thank God. Without God, none of this is possible. I want to thank my team, my father, Edgar Garcia, my family, and all my fans who've been so patient for me, you know, coming off a 2-year layoff. I've been feeling great, you know, and coming in to this September 14th, I'm excited to be sharing the stage with Cool Boy Steph, Edgar Berlanga, Caleb Plant, Rolly Ramirez, Rolly Ramiro, and Canelo. You know what I mean? The face of boxing. So the stage is set. It's a big stage. I'm happy to be here. You know, for me, this is a historic fight for me. You know, I won titles at 140, 147. It's always been a dream of mine to be a 3-division world champion. You know, I got a tough task ahead of me against Lara, another great fighter who's been around as long as I've been around, a 2-division champion. So two division champions going at it, mano a mano, September 14th. It's going to be an epic night. I'm looking forward to making history, you know, for the city of Philadelphia, for all my fans. And I just feel blessed to be back. You know, I love boxing like a fat kid loves cake. So that's why I'm here, man. That's why I'm really here. Because I like to fight. My name is Antonio Montana. It's like, nah. You know, Lara's Cuban, but I'm the real Danny Montana. I see you on September 14th.
Gotta love Danny Garcia. He can fight and he's funny. Let me bring to the podium his opponent. And not just any opponent, the champion. You know him as the American Dream. 33-3. 18 knockouts. Fights now in Las Vegas. Hails from Cuba. He's the former junior middleweight world champion, the reigning WBA middleweight champion of the world. If you remember, last saw him in March on PBC on Prime Video. He knocked out his opponent. He is Erislandy Lara. Genesis will do the translation for Erislandy.
Buenas tardes. Quiero darle las gracias a PBC, Amazon Prime, a todos ustedes que están presentes, al team Danny García por tomar esta pelea. Quiero darle las gracias a Luis de Cuba Jr., a mi familia, a mis hijos, a mi esposa. Nos vemos el 14 de septiembre. Vamos a estar listos para dar una gran pelea. Puerto Rico, Cuba, vamos a salir adelante. Gracias.
Guys, let's talk about this fight. Champ, I'll start with you. I remember the last time we saw you fight in March, you got the knockout. Someone asked you, what would you like next? And you said, Danny Garcia. Tell us why. Why did you want this challenge with Danny Garcia?
Sí, de verdad, eso fue una estrategia que mi equipo, mi promotor, mi manager, quisimos hacer así. Vinimos a la última pelea de él, yo vine a ver la pelea de él contra Benavides y me resultó interesante esa pelea entre DJ. Danny García es un gran boxeador, campeón en 3 ediciones y creo que esto es lo que el público se merece, ¿no? Una pelea entre nosotros dos.
That was a strategy that my manager, my team, and I built after seeing the last fight he had with Benavides. And since he's a world champion, I would like to do that also, fight him.
Danny, you mentioned it. It's been 2 years since we last seen you in the ring. Now you come back. Now you don't not only come back, but you're fighting for a world title, but at 160. Tell us why so long and then why 160?
You know, I wasn't off 2 years because I wanted to. You know, boxing took a change, and, you know, I just sat down and waited for my opportunity. You know, the fight was supposed to happen last year in August, but it didn't happen. This is a fight that I've been planning for, and a fight that I wanted. You know, Lara has something I want, which is a title, and, you know, I'm the name, so he wants my name, I want his title, and it makes perfect sense. I'm trying to make history.
I remember one of our last talks, we were talking about 154, but this is 160.
Yeah, too much rice and beans, man.
It's a bigger jump.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, talk to me about the challenge. Will that challenge be too much?
You know, I feel like boxing's all mental. You know, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And if you feel like you can't do it, it's probably because you can't do it. But I know mentally, I believe I can do whatever I put my mind to. And I never back down from any challenge. It's just the weight. You know, boxing's about skill and will. At the end of the day, when you tired and you going into those championship rounds, it's all about who got the most will. And, you know, they can box, but everybody knows Danny Garcia can fight. So I come to fight.
Here's Landy. He says everybody knows Lara can box, but he also says everybody knows that Danny Garcia can fight. But this is a guy, and this is your third title defense. This is a guy, though, who's only had, 3 fights in the last 4 years. Is he biting off more than he can chew, you think, on September 14th?
Él dice que todo el mundo sabe que tú sabes pelear, pero que el otro también. Que él ha peleado 3 o 4 veces. ¿Tú crees que él está cogiendo más de lo que él puede?
Bueno, él puede coger lo que quiera, ¿no? Él puede, en su mente, puede pensar lo que quiera pensar. Entonces, todo el mundo me conoce, sabe qué tipo de boxeador yo soy y la calidad de boxeador que yo soy. Solamente sé que vamos a vernos el 14 de septiembre. Este no es tiempo de estar hablando tanto ni nada de eso. Vamos a vernos el 14 de septiembre.
He said this is not the time to be talking too much. Yes, he is good and he can think whatever he wants, but we will talk in September.
Champ, we'll wrap it up with this. Why don't you let the people know, let Danny Garcia know what he's in for on September 14th?
¿Por qué no le dejas saber a la gente y a los boxeadores lo que le espera el 14 de septiembre?
Ya está escrito ya, soy campeón mundial y lo voy a seguir haciendo campeón mundial hasta que me retire. No tengo que dejar eso de saber a nadie.
That is already written down. I don't have to tell anyone. I am going to be the champion.
Danny Garcia, why don't you let Landy Lara know, let these people know what they're in store for on September 14th, and what would it mean to you to be a 3-division world champion?
You know, come September 14th, you know, I'm bringing the Danny Garcia show to Vegas. So if you didn't book your flights yet, book your hotels and buy your tickets, make sure you go buy it, you know, pre-order the pay-per-view, because this is a historic night for me. I'm chasing a dream, and I'm the type of person I never stop until I get what I want. You know, a lot of people call me an overachiever, but I'm here because I'm a great fighter. Not because I got lucky, because I know I'm great. And when you're great, you take a shot at greatness. You do what everyone thinks you can't do. And that's why I'm here.
Folks, it's the co-main event on the PBC pay-per-view on Prime, September 14th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It is the champion, the WBA middleweight champion of the world, Landy Lara, taking on Danny Garcia. Guys, if you don't mind, we could have one last face-off here for the cameras.
Una vez más, un cara a cara.
Yes, please, please.
Well, there you have it. Co-main event, 2-division world champion Danny Garcia trying to become a 3-division world champ. He moves up in weight to face Erislandy Lara. Gabe, you see them staring down. Not much of a difference between these two guys physically right now.
No, man. You know, Danny's going to grow into
One more photo, folks.
middleweight division easy, man.
One more photo here of everybody. Cool boy Steph.
For sure, I don't think Danny loses the power.
He will be the main event fighter on the PBC on Prime.
Because of this extended layoff. It's not just the time between his last fight, but he has been an inactive fighter over the last few years.
No, that's true, man. But, you know, Lara is up there in age. You know, he's 40 years old, so maybe father's time to catch up to him.
That's what I think is to make this fight fun, because both these guys are going to bang it out. Erislandy Lara is not the slick Cuban boxer he was when he first came into the pro ranks. He's become more of a banger as he's gotten a little bit older.
No, for sure. They're definitely going to
Don't miss it.
You know, I think this is a great fight. It's a fight that
coming up
happened a while ago, but they finally get
the main event,
and it's on a big card, man. So
fighters for what you'll see
September 14th
on the PBC pay-per-view. September 14th,
Edgar Berlanga, part of a
from Las Vegas, T-Mobile Arena.
That will conclude with Anthony Joshua attempting to become a 3-time heavyweight champion when he takes on Daniel Dubois.
One of the most important fights of his career.
Joshua on a revival mission. The quest to become world heavyweight champion continues.
Anthony Joshua gets his 24th knockout in his lights out. Anthony Joshua.
I believe I'm going to be 3-time heavyweight champion of the world.
All right, we're back here joined by Eddie Hearn. Eddie, we're going to get into Edgar Berlanga against Canelo Alvarez in just a minute, but just a week after that big event, you've got Anthony Joshua attempting to become a 3-time champion when he takes on Daniel Dubois. If you told me this fight was going to happen for a heavyweight title a year ago, I might not have believed you, but a lot has changed in a year.
Yeah, I mean, also the benefit of Riyadh season and all the heavyweights below the champions fighting each other and positioning themselves a lot quicker. You know, if you look at Dubois, he went through Jarrell Miller, he went through Filip Hrgovic. He's earned the right at a shot at a world heavyweight title, no doubt. And for AJ, you know, I was actually thinking this morning, wow, 3-time world heavyweight champion. I mean, that's historic. That's a tiny, tiny list of people, notably Muhammad Ali, who have been 3-time world heavyweight champions. And it's a massive moment for his career on in front of 100,000 people on September 21st.
Yeah, and that fight, of course, going to be part of Riyadh season, the first Riyadh season card in Wembley Arena, which means it's probably going to be a stacked card, isn't it, Eddie?
It's yeah, I mean, if last Saturday was anything to go by, it's incredible. And, you know, when you look at that run coming up for Riyadh season, obviously Los Angeles last week, Wembley September 21st, October 12th, I think sometimes we need a reminder that Bivol is fighting Beterbiev on a massive card in Riyadh. And December 21st, Usyk Fury 2 will be huge. So a lot in between as well, live on DAZN, notably this big fight as well. But, yeah, those Riyadh season cards, super stacked.
All right, take me inside the negotiations for this Canelo Alvarez-Edgar Berlanga fight, because this is a fight that you guys have been chasing since you signed Edgar Berlanga to a contract over a year ago. Why was this the right time, and how did this deal get done?
Yeah, I mean, it was like 13 months ago we signed Edgar Berlanga, and the promise was that we would deliver the Canelo Alvarez fight. At that time, we were working with Canelo Alvarez as his promoter, and I expected it to be quite straightforward. He got offered the deal by the PBC, and when he took that deal, I started to think perhaps an Edgar Berlanga deal fight wasn't there for us. Thankfully, promoters seem to be working a little bit more together nowadays. We got the call. Keith Connolly did a great job as well with us, and the dream shot. You know, this is the Willy Wonka's golden ticket. You know, you win the lottery when you get this fight. You get the pick. You have to wait for the phone call sometimes. But when you look at the positioning, when you look at the commercial side, Edgar Berlanga is mandatory challenger with the WBA. He's 22-0. He's a big puncher. He's Puerto Rican. You know, it has all the appetite for a great clash. And I think people are overlooking Edgar Berlanga in this fight. You know, when you look at the options available to Canelo Alvarez, outside of David Benavidez, this is the biggest fight for him. William Skull was the other mandatory. You know, this is the fight. And, you know, Edgar Berlanga likes his spot in this fight. People talking about the next one. He's coming to fight. He can punch. He's young. He's aggressive. He's unscathed in the boxing world. Fresh as a daisy and ready to go.
All right, you say, Eddie, people are overlooking Edgar Berlanga. That might be the understatement of the year. You have to go deep into the bowels of the internet define people that believe Edgar Berlanga can win this fight? You've been around Edgar for over a year now. You've seen him pick up a couple of wins. I was talking to Gabe about this earlier. What, in your mind, is his path to victory?
You never know until you step up to that level. He's won every fight pretty much with ease so far, and I think that he's had a couple of solid fights now. One MSG with Quigley and a good knockout victory last time. This is a level well beyond he's ever operated before. In fact, most people have to make that massive jump when they fight someone like Canelo Alvarez. Israel Madrimov did it at the weekend. All of a sudden, you're in levels above you've ever been. You do have to rely a little bit on Canelo Alvarez maybe underperforming or overlooking Edgar Berlanga. Yes, he is getting a little bit older now. The body is starting to break down. But I tell you, Canelo Alvarez likes to be in the fights where people come to fight. When I spoke to him a couple of months ago, that's why he liked the Munguia fight. That's why he likes Berlanga, because he wants someone to come to him and fight him, not move around the ring, not run him for 12 rounds. And Berlanga will do that. He'll be in front of him. He has to take chances. He has to let his hands go. And we probably need 6 rounds of chaos here to have an effect. What you can't do is just get dominated early, get hit, take those shots around the side of the head. You have to get in there and take chances. And I think Edgar's got the cojones to take chances in this fight. And that's what you have to do. You can't just go in there to look to survive. Sure. This is a guy that won't do that.
Do you think this is probably like a trap fight for Canelo where, Berlanga could take advantage and be aggressive and kind of take Canelo out of, from surprise?
Yeah, I think that it's the only way to be. I mean, Munguia had success in the fight. It was a good fight, and he wasn't outclassed too badly in the fight. He had some success. He got dropped, but he was brave. And Edgar's going to have to be brave as well. But, Edgar can punch. He'll be aggressive. He'll take chances, but he has to do that. Mm-hmm. I think a fast start is always important. I'd rather lose inside 5 rounds than just lose every round over 12 without really rolling the dice. How are you going to beat Canelo Alvarez unless you roll the dice? Edgar's not going to outbox him over 12 and look to, move and run around the ring. He has to stand, let his hands go and take chances. Canelo Alvarez also has a great chin, but sooner or later, in a fight, he's going to come unstuck against someone, and hopefully it's one that he overlooks, which I think he will. He's a consummate professional, but in his mind, I think this is a straightforward job. So Edgar's got to do everything he can to change that.
We saw Edgar Berlanga get back to his knockout ways in his last fight against Patrick McCrory. Did that show you anything you haven't seen in him in some of his more recent fights?
I think sometimes you can try and make a few too many changes. You can try and overcomplicate things. We've seen it before with fighters. I want to improve my defense. I want to move a little bit more, this and that. You've got to really go back to what Edgar's really good at, which is knocking people out. 16 first-round knockouts in his first 16 fights. Sometimes the early part of that career is lower-level opposition. You've still got to take him out in the first round. That's not easy to do. We know he can punch. Got to believe in yourself in there, and he knows he's in deep, but he's got the dream opportunity, the opportunity of a lifetime. Gabe, you get this fight, it's everything. It's like it's the biggest night, the biggest chance of his life, and he's not someone that's going to go to Las Vegas that week and just be overawed and let himself get beat. If he does get beat, he'll go out on his shield. And he'll give us great entertainment.
I'm sorry. Well, I think that's his strength, is he has nothing to lose in this fight.
Yeah.
Canelo does, but Berlanga doesn't. So I think that's his strength going into the fight and being aggressive.
We're gonna go. We have the main event press conference starting right now. Let's go back on stage.
Capital of the world. The latest installment of that historic rivalry. Mexico, Puerto Rico. Canelo Promotions presents the pound for pound great and Mexican superstar, Canelo Alvarez, putting his unified WBC, WBA, and WBO super middleweight titles on the line against the undefeated WBA #1 ranked mandatory contender in Edgar Berlanga. This thing is going to headline Mexican Independence Day weekend. It's an extravaganza that you'll see on the PBC pay-per-view on Prime, Saturday, September 14th from T-Mobile Arena. Tickets, you can get them now on sale. AXS.com. AXS.com, promoted by Canelo Promotions, TGB Promotions, in association with Matchroom Boxing. You just heard from the co-main event fighters, Erislandy Lara and Danny Garcia. Now, the main event fighters. And let me bring out the challenger. This young man is unbeaten. 22-0. 17 knockouts. At one point, he had a streak of 16 straight first-round knockouts. He hails from the beautiful borough of Brooklyn, proudly representing that heritage of Puerto Rico. He's the hard-hitting, the undefeated, the WBA #1 ranked super middleweight contender. He is Edgar Berlanga.
Now she wanna chase. It's that shit that make her wanna shake. See him lit and now she wanna, now she wanna chase. Yeah, your boy back, everything lit. Yeah, it's lit. Yeah, it's lit. Yeah, it's lit. You know I got the wave, I don't even swim. And it's lit. And it's lit. And it's lit. I was in the can, now I'm freed up. Yeah, I'm freed up. Say she wanna fuck, baby, link up.
Edgar Berlanga. He's going to be facing a man who needs no introduction. 61, 2-2, 39 knockouts. The boy's box office, a true global superstar, a Mexican boxing icon, 4-division world champion. He's fought in 25 world title bouts. He is the first undisputed super middleweight champion in this 4-belt era. Future Hall of Famer. He's the current WBA, WBC, WBO super middleweight champion of the world. He is Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, Edgar Berlanga. Gentlemen, take your seats. Again, tickets are now on sale, AXS.com. And regardless if you have a Prime membership, you can purchase this fight through Prime Video, DAZN.com, PPV.com, as well as you can access it through your telecast through the traditional cable and satellite providers as well. It is being promoted by Canelo Promotions, TGB Promotions in association with Matchroom Boxing. Let me bring here to the podium the president of TGB Promotions, Mr. Tom Brown.
Thank you, Brian. It's great to be back here in New York, announcing yet again another Canelo Alvarez fight, a fight that will be honoring the Mexican Independence Day weekend. Now, this will be Canelo's 4th fight and 3rd fight in a row under the Premier Boxing Champions banner. And I just want to say what a privilege and an honor it is to have worked with Saul, Canelo Promotions, and Eddie Reynoso on all of these events. And as Brian said, he'll be taking on the hard-hitting, undefeated WBA #1 ranked contender Edgar Berlanga. In Canelo's first fight, back in 2021 with PBC, he beat the undefeated IBF champion Caleb Plant to become the first undisputed super middleweight champion. Then he came back, he took on Jamel Charlo, and for the first time in the 4-belt era, it was an unprecedented matchup between 2 reigning undisputed champions. And in his last fight, he took on yet another undefeated fighter, the 43-0 former world champion Jaime Munguia, in a historic all-Mexican showdown on Cinco de Mayo weekend. And now, on September 14th at the T-Mobile Arena, the Mexican fans and Puerto Rican fans are going to be in for a wild scene out in Las Vegas. And not just on fight night, but all week during fight week. They're going to be loud and boisterous. Flags are going to be waving. Fans are going to be screaming because national pride is on the line. And we all know that both Mexican fighters and Puerto Rican fighters love to slug it out. So we've got a great night and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tom Brown. Let me introduce some of the people you see here on the stage. Of course, you know Tom Brown, president of TGB Promotions. Louis DeCubas Jr., talking about the management team here of Canelo Alvarez, about his manager, and one of the greatest trainers in the sport of boxing, Eddie Reynoso, obviously here, and the champ. To my left, your right, Edgar Berlanga, his father and trainer, Edgar Berlanga Sr. You've got the chairman of the Matchroom, Eddie Hearn. It's a long time, my brother. Good to see you. Keith Connolly talked about the manager of Edgar Berlanga as well. You know what? Since it's been a long time since we've seen each other, how about bringing him up to the podium? He is the chairman of Matchroom Sports, Mr. Eddie Hearn.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And what a moment for Edgar Berlanga at a time when boxing is red hot. Of course, last weekend, every weekend is a mega fight week, and it doesn't get any bigger than Canelo Alvarez fight weeks. We've missed the Canelo Alvarez fight weeks, and this time we come as the opponent. Many opponents we've had have faced him in the past: Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, John Ryder, Rocky Fielding, and now we have a real shot in Edgar Berlanga. It's been interesting to see the response. I think Edgar's been overlooked, disrespected. He's the #1 challenger with the WBA. He's the mandatory challenger. He's earned the right to this shot. And when we signed him 13 months ago, we promised him a shot at the great Canelo Alvarez. As things moved on, that shot looked as though it become more difficult. And as always, it's the lottery ticket of boxing to land the shot against Canelo Alvarez. And for that, we want to thank everybody at the PBC, Louis, Tom, and of course the champ and Eddie for taking this fight with Edgar. Keith Connolly done a great job to get this made. But this isn't just about winning the lottery. This is about claiming the ticket. And Edgar Berlanga is here only to win. 16 first-round knockouts in his first 16 fights, 22-0. This kid has amateur pedigree. This kid has ability. This kid has dynamite in his hands, and this kid has a big set of cojones that will put everything on the line on September the 14th. I know that Canelo Alvarez wants real fights, guys that will come to him to win. This guy won't dance around the ring. He won't try and survive the 12 rounds. He will come for a firefight with Canelo Alvarez. And yes, it is Puerto Rico against Mexico, but it's deeper than that. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for Edgar and his father. He's dedicated his life to the sport. And I promise you, he will give every inch of his soul in Las Vegas. Tommy's right, this is going to be a wild week. Canelo Alvarez weeks always are. Incredible scenes, but remember one thing. This guy is here to fight. This guy is here to dethrone the king, and he will give it everything and let his hands go on a wild night in Las Vegas on September the 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. When you talk about management in the sport of boxing, the DeCubas is probably one of the best. You know, on the other side here, you got another one of the best in the sport. He's the manager of Edgar Berlanga, Mr. Keith Connolly.
Great to be here. Excited to be involved in another mega event with one of my guys, Edgar Berlanga. I've been up here a few times in the same situation. We've come up a little short, but all my guys have put on great performances. I expect nothing else from Edgar Berlanga. As Eddie said before, I think a lot of people are overlooking Edgar, but the kid is young, he's strong, and I know for a fact he's got the will to win. So I want to thank Canelo Alvarez for giving us this opportunity. Obviously, Eddie Hearn, I mean, an amazing job. Our one goal when we signed with Eddie Hearn, we said, get us the Canelo Alvarez fight. And a little over a year later, we're right here where we want to be. I also want to say a special thanks to Louis DeCubas. I feel like we've become brothers over the last couple of months. I want to thank Eddie Reynoso, the manager of Canelo Alvarez, for giving us this opportunity. Also want to thank my buddy Al Heyman for making this negotiation, even though it's between two rival promoters, pretty smooth. Thank you, Eddie, as well. Two Hall of Famers. The fact that those two guys, Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman, aren't in the Hall of Fame yet, it's a travesty, but that's a conversation for another day. Two greats of the sport. And I want to thank Tom Brown, the promoter of the show. I really think September 14th is going to be a tremendous event. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. And like I said, Edgar's got bombs in his hands, and I expect him to shock the world on September 14th.
Coming to the podium, this man is the manager of Canelo Alvarez, and, you know, arguably, you could say probably the best trainer in the sport of boxing. He's won the award countless times. Mr. Eddie Reynoso. Genesis, once again, will do the translation.
Buenas tardes. Antes que nada, pues agradecer a todos los que están aquí presentes, la prensa. Agradecer al señor Aljaime por ser posible esta pelea, a Matchroom, al equipo de Edgar Berlanga. Sabemos que las peleas entre México y Puerto Rico siempre van a ser guerras, así lo dice la historia, desde los triunfos de Julio César Chávez, los triunfos de Salvador Sánchez. Creo que este 14 de septiembre vamos a enfrentar a un tremendo boxeador, un gran prospecto de Puerto Rico, y que quiere llevarse los cinturones. Nosotros vamos a hacer nuestro trabajo, vamos a hacer una gran preparación y esperen una gran pelea ese día 14 de septiembre. Y una vez más, muy agradecidos por todos los que vinieron aquí a apoyar esta pelea. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. September will be a very exciting day. In Mexico, fighting is a huge thing. I want to thank all the team at PBC. And once again, I am thankful that all of you are here and looking forward to September 14.
And we look forward to seeing this next man in the ring. He's unbeaten. 22-0. 17 of his victories have come by knockout. Fighting out of Brooklyn, New York. Training now in Tampa, Florida. Representing that Boricua in Puerto Rico, the undefeated WBA #1 ranked contender, Edgar Berlanga.
First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for this opportunity. I want to thank PBC. I want to thank Luis Cubas, Al Heyman, Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, my manager, Keith Conley, my dad, Edgar Berlanga Sr., and I also want to thank Team Canelo for giving us this opportunity. Listen, man, you know, there's a lot of doubt out there on me and a lot of hate, but I've been facing adversities, man. I've been facing hate all my life, you know. There's my opportunity to become a great champion, but also be legendary in the sport of boxing. I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. You know, and September 14th is going to be something to remember. I keep telling you, man, superstar status, you know. It's going to be something amazing, man. Puerto Rico versus Mexico. That's the biggest rivalry in boxing, you know. And we're looking forward to making history September 14th. Fireworks, baby. Thank you, guys. I love y'all.
Coming to the podium, the unified champion. 61, 2-2. 39 of his victories have come by knockout. He hails from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. He's legendary. He's a boxing superstar. 4-division world champion. He's the reigning WBA, WBC, and WBO super middleweight champion of the world. He is Canelo Alvarez.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you, all, Jaimon. Thank you, Luis. Thank you, Eddie, Tom. Thank you, Eddie Hens, my boy. Thank you. Thank you. All the team. I'm very happy to be here in this position, Mexico versus Puerto Rico. I'm not overlooking him. I know he's a strong fighter, young fighter, and I'm gonna put all my best in the training, all my best in the fight to put it a great fight. And I'm just happy. I love boxing. I love what I do, and I'm happy to be here and other one. And remember, this fight is gonna be a great fight, and it's gonna be a great day for Mexico. Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, let's talk about the fight. Champ, I'll start with you. I'll ask you the question I'm sure you're going to get from the press, so we might as well get it out of the way now. Tell everybody why Edgar Berlanga and not David Benavidez or Terrence Crawford.
I think this fight is a good fight for the people, no? Mexico versus Puerto Rico, always a great fight, and I think it's a good fight for the people.
Edgar, I've watched some of your social media, and I heard you say a little bit of that today. Why do you think you're being overlooked?
Like I said before, man, I've always been overlooked. You know, even if I had a world title, I'll still be overlooked. You know, I've been overlooked all my life, and I said this earlier on a Breakfast Club. I said that, you know, when I first turned pro, nobody wanted to sign me. No promotion wanted to sign me. And I had to go there, dig my feet deep in the ground, and work and knock people out. And I started knocking people out in the first round, and that's when everybody started wanting to sign me. So, you know, I feel like I'm in the same position right now, you know, getting this fight with Canelo. A lot of people was, you know, talking shit. Before that, I'm fighting cab drivers. Now that I'm fighting a legend, they saying I'm going to get knocked the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So with the people, like Fat Joe said, you never win. So I just put my head down, keep working, stay humble, and, you know, and then just turn up September 14th, man. This is something legendary for the sport of boxing, you know. And I don't want to hear, listen, man, I don't want to hear Benavidez, fuck Benavidez. You know, shout out to Crawford, you know what I'm saying? But they keep mentioning Crawford. He fought a 54-pounder. You know, it was a tough fight. You know, we got business to handle September 14th. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just keep mentioning Benavidez and all these guys, man. Like, y'all know it's not going to happen. You feel me? And that's just that, man. Like, September 14th, Berlanga, Canelo, Puerto Rico versus Mexico.
Canelo, he's gotten a chip on his shoulder. Feels like you're overlooking him. Tell him, what is Edgar going to get on September 14th? What should he expect?
No, you know, I never overlook my opponents. I know Edgar Berlanga is young, is strong, but at the end of the day, he have a big challenge in front. It's going to be a great fight. He's going to experience something different, and the people is going to enjoy this fight.
Edgar, these are the type of fights that bring something special out of a fighter. Can you let the people know, let Canelo know what he's going to get and what they're going to see on September 14th when you step into the ring with Canelo Alvarez?
September 14th, man, you know, he's definitely going to bring the best out of me. Like, everything that I know who I am, my coach, my father, he's going to have the best Edgar Berlanga ever. You know, and one thing about me is that when I step up in competition, everything else steps up as far as my boxing ability. You know, this fight is nothing physical. It's nothing physical. He fought guys that's strong. He fought Triple G. He fought bigger guys, Bivol. This fight is all mental, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the IQ, is to be intelligent, you know, in that ring. And he brings a lot of that. So we got to make sure we match that. You know, it's will versus will. Is who could break whose will. Is line versus line. And, you know, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm young. I'm strong. And, you know, it's going to be fireworks September 14th, man. You know, I'm not running. We're not going nowhere. We're going to stay right there. And we're going to do what we do.
I like it. He says he's not running. He's going to be right there. Is that the kind of fight that you want and that you like, Canelo? A firefight.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I really love it.
Come on, man. You got Puerto Rico versus Mexico, man. Like
I don't expect anything else. I know he's gonna come to bring everything, and me too. And that's the fight I really like it. I love it, and I'm gonna enjoy it a lot.
What does this rivalry mean to you? We always hear that Puerto Rico versus Mexico. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot because it's history. It's history. We have great fights versus Mexico, Puerto Rico, and I think this is going to be other one to the books of boxing.
Edgar, same question. What does that mean to you when we talk about that Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry?
Listen, man, I'm 27 years old. I started boxing when I was 7 years old, 20 years in the game. And we've been dreaming about this since I was a kid. And when I turned pro, Canelo Alvarez was on my mind. And anybody out there knows, I manifested this fight. You know, between my hard work and keeping God first, we got the fight. And, you know, we're here now, man. It's a blessing to be here, you know, and I want to thank everybody, man. This fight's going to be something to remember. And it's crazy because this year, right after I knocked out Patrick McCrory, we didn't know we was going to get the Canelo fight. I had a dream with Canelo in my dream. And he was at my fight, watched me. And I knocked the dude out. And he looked up in the dream. And he was with somebody. He told somebody, you see that kid right there? I was on top of the ring, going crazy. He was like, you see that kid? We're going to make history. He didn't say the date. When I woke up, I already knew. I said, yeah, we getting this fight in September, 1,000%.
Kid's hungry. Says he's been dreaming about this fight and dreaming about you. How does that motivate you?
No, relax.
You know what I mean.
No Mookie stuff, man. Right. Yeah, please. Bro.
You know what I mean.
I like that.
So he's been fiending. He's been fiending to get his paws on you. How does that motivate you when you know you got somebody who said, I've had you marked my entire career?
I feel great. You know, somebody dreaming about me. It's perfect. I like it. And he got it.
So we'll wrap it up with this. I'll start with you, Edgar. Saturday, September 14th, Las Vegas. PBC pay-per-view. There'll be a lot of people. That arena's going to be sold out. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to put down their hard-earned money to buy this fight. What can you guarantee they're going to get when Edgar Berlanga steps into the ring with Canelo Alvarez?
Like I said before, fireworks. You know, they think, you know, we don't predict the fights. You know what I'm saying? And we're going in there and we're going to do what we do, you know. Fireworks, baby. Superstar status. You know, it's legendary September 14th, man. It's Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Y'all gotta understand, man. Fuck all the haters, man. You know, fuck all the haters and whoever's on social media chatting and talking, because for every hater is another pay-per-view buy, man. So get your pay-per-view ready, man.
Champ, we'll wrap it up with you. September 14th, for all those people who come out, lay down their hard-earned money. What can you guarantee they're going to get when you step into the ring with Edgar Berlanga? He says he's going to become a legend that night. What can you guarantee they're going to get?
we'll see. That's we have this fight, right? And I'm gonna put my best like always, and I always say that it's not the same call the lion to see they coming. So it's gonna be a really good night for boxing. I guarantee that.
Folks, September 14th, T-Mobile Arena, the fight capital of the world. The unified super middleweight champion, Canelo Alvarez, against the -- 1 contender, the unbeaten Edgar Berlanga. Gentlemen, let's have one last face-off in the middle.
Well, there you have it, Gabe Rosado. That took a little bit of a weird twist at the end when the dreams came into the conversation. You've got a battle between two guys that are very heavy-handed at 168 pounds. This is a fight that I think both these guys are going to leave it all in the ring.
No, for sure, and Canelo said that he's not overlooking Berlanga. They have him as the favorite. But, you want to hear that from Canelo, man, because that means he's going to come in ready to fight.
You challenged Gennady Golovkin many years ago for the middleweight title. That was, I believe, your first crack at a world title. What do you think is going through Edgar Berlanga's mind as he gets ready for his first world title fight?
Man, a lot of nerves because this is a new experience, and you're fighting the best. You're fighting the face of boxing right now. So, it's a lot of nerves, man.
Yeah, and a lot of pretty big atmosphere we're going to see in Vegas at T-Mobile Arena on the 14th. Look, it is a Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry, but I was saying to you earlier, whenever Canelo fights, it feels like it's a Mexico-only type of atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, Canelo is definitely going to have the majority of the crowd. Right now, as you see him facing off, Berlanga's a lot bigger than Canelo.
You see these guys size each other up, talking to each other back and forth. Very serious look right now on the face of Edgar Berlanga. I think my big question is, how is he going to respond to the power of Canelo Alvarez? Because he's faced some good fighters over the last few years, but he's never faced the kind of fighter with the speed and power of Canelo.
No, he hasn't, and the thing is that he's barking at Canelo right now on his face-off, and, you don't want to give Canelo another reason to step on the gas day of the fight.
No, you absolutely do not. Canelo Alvarez has shown he has a bit of a mean streak when he's in the ring, looking to knock some guys out. And certainly we're going to have some bad blood between these two guys as promotion builds over the next couple of weeks. But I think it is going to be an excellent fight. We're going to have a lot of heavy hands thrown between these two guys in the ring.
Yeah, for sure. And so what you asked me about the power, Berlanga's been hurt, and he's been on the ground before. He got up and he behaved as a champion, as a fighter, and won by knockout. So, we know how he responds when he's in the midst of getting hurt.
Yeah, we talk about how he is being doubted out there, whether it's from fans, from media, from his peers, and he reads a lot of that stuff on social media. So it's clear that he's using a lot of that as fuel going into this fight.
Yeah, for sure. Me personally, I don't like the distractions of social media or anything like that, man. So, but it's a different era, man. He's definitely seeing what the haters are saying, and I think Berlanga's the kind of guy that he's going to react to that positively, and he's going to do his thing.
Well, he certainly hears all the haters out there saying their thing. That is for sure. And for Canelo Alvarez, the chance to defend his unified super middleweight championship. And you heard Edgar Berlanga say it up there. Look, a lot of people are talking about the next fight for Canelo, whether it is David Benavidez, whether it is Terrence Crawford. And maybe there's a chance Canelo could be overlooking Edgar Berlanga. Now, I don't think so. I think Canelo has been around long enough not to fall into that type of traps, but that could create an opening for Edgar to land something maybe he doesn't see coming.
No, yeah, it could, but like you said, I don't think Canelo is going to make that mistake to overlook Berlanga. And Berlanga, him responding to the talks about potentially Canelo fighting Benavidez or Crawford, we heard how he felt about it. And, you want to hear that because it's bothering him and it's giving him another reason to put on a great performance.
So we heard Berlanga up there say, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to throw punches. I'm going to let my hands go, and I'm coming to knock this guy out. Canelo just smiled through that. I think that is the exact kind of style that Canelo Alvarez wants to fight. You remember his two fights ago against Jermell Charlo, the frustration that was on the face of Canelo Alvarez when he had to spend the entire fight chasing Jermell Charlo down. Edgar Berlanga wants to throw punches, but that is exactly what Canelo Alvarez is hoping he does.
Exactly. We saw what happened with Munguia when he walked up, and Munguia's a pressure fighter, and he got dropped with a right uppercut, and it kind of changed the dynamic of the fight. So it's like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah, no question about that. So as we wrap up here, Berlanga against Canelo on September 14th. Give me your impression or your prediction on how this fight goes.
You know, if Berlanga's really going to back up what he's saying, I expect it to be a great fight if he's there face-to-face fighting Canelo. If he's on the back foot, then Canelo has the advantage. I think Berlanga has to use his youth, he has to use his size and try to smother Canelo and use that power.
Can you prepare for the kind of power that Canelo's going to show? Because you moved up in weight, you faced Gennady Golovkin, one of the biggest punchers at 160 pounds. What did it feel like feeling that power for the first time?
You know what it is? It's a mental thing. So going into the Golovkin fight, I knew that he was a big puncher. So mentally, I prepared myself. I pretty much told myself, this guy got to kill me to stop me. So when you go into that fight with that mindset, once you get hit, you know the power's real, but you mentally prepared yourself for it. So Berlanga, the ones that hurt you is the guys that you don't respect their power, and the next thing you know, they catch you, and you're like, oh, this guy really has some pop. But Berlanga has to mentally prepare himself that I don't care what this guy hits me with, I'm going to keep going. I'm on a mission. Yeah,
there's no question. I think Edgar Berlanga is going to come to fight on September 14th. But he gets a chance to fight for a world title for the first time. 3 belts on the line at 168 when Canelo Alvarez defends them against Edgar Berlanga. That fight can be watched, of course, live on DAZN. We think that fight's going to be a banger. We know that in 1 week's time, or less than 1 week's time, we are going to get a slugfest when Virgil Ortiz challenges Sergey Bohachuk in Las Vegas.
In the city of lights, where champions are made, 2 unstoppable forces are set to collide. Virgil Ortiz Jr., an undefeated force of nature, a gladiator with a singular mission, to dominate. Sergey Bohachuk, a warrior from Ukraine, forged in the fires of conflict, unyielding, unstoppable. 44 knockouts and 45 victories, an explosive showdown that will shake the boxing world.
Virgil Ortiz never faces a puncher like me.
Meet me in the middle of the ring.
This fight, it's war.
This fight's gonna be a bloodbath.
On August 10th, the world will witness the ultimate battle, Bohachuk versus Ortiz Jr.